Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you from wherever you are watching this. My name is Mulema Museo, and welcome to another episode of Thrive. Thrive is a show that is dedicated to helping you be the best you that you allow yourself to be. Because it's all about you, baby. So, in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about 5 difficulties of self-development. Because self-development is hard. Personal growth is hard. Healing is hard. But it's worth it in the end, and I know that some people are already on that journey, some people are yet to start that journey, so this is sort of a warning of what's to come. This is one of those videos that you will want to go back to, when the challenges arise, when the difficulties come, because these are challenges that, as I said last week, personal development is a continuous journey. It doesn't really stop. It never really stops, right? So that means even these challenges, I heard a sound. Anyway, even these challenges, right? These challenges are going to continuously keep coming, right? So let's get into the first one. So the first challenge you're going to face when on this journey of self-discovery, personal development, personal growth is honesty with yourself, keeping it real with yourself. It's going to be a challenge, and it's very simple why. As you're getting to know yourself, you're getting to realize that not everything is great about you. There's some aspects about you that are not so great, and that's not the nicest thing to discover, all right? And on top of that, it's like as you're getting to know yourself and you're discovering these different things that maybe you don't like about yourself, or these things that you want to change about yourself, some of them are going to lead you to need to be honest with yourself and call yourself out. They're going to need you to be real with yourself and tell yourself, hey, this is the truth of who I am. This is the truth of maybe what I've been through. This is the truth of what I've done. This is the truth about my habits, how I behave. And it's not always easy to be honest with yourself. It's not always easy to be real with yourself. It's in fact very easy to deceive ourselves a lot of the time. But as I said last week, the whole thing of self-development is almost like a relationship, any other relationship, because you're getting to know this person and you're learning to treat this person the way they want to be treated. And so in your being kind to this person, that is you're going to have to be real with this person. You're going to have to be honest with this person. And it's not always going to be comfortable. It's not always going to be comfortable to keep it real with yourself. It's not always going to be comfortable to tell yourself the truth that no, I'm lazy, for example, or I procrastinate, or I'm a mean person, Having these honest conversations with yourself, and it doesn't just go for, it gets even deeper than that. It gets even deeper, and the more you get to know yourself, the deeper the honesty is going to get. And obviously there's the side of it where we're no, be kind to yourself and all that, but part of kindness, as I said, is being honest with yourself. And so there are gonna be times when you're gonna have to call yourself out. There are gonna be times when you're gonna have to have a chat with yourself and be hey, for example, there'll be things that, actually let me give an example with a time when I had to be honest with myself. It's actually this week. It's actually this week with even recording this video. I had to have a whole sit down with myself around why it is that I procrastinate so much, and why it is that I spend so much time distracting myself with TikTok. Yes, it used to be Instagram, but now it's TikTok. TikTok is, but why it is that I'm distracting myself with TikTok, what is it that is leading to me being in that state where I'm I even I remember this, is this yesterday? Yeah, yesterday I was nah, I'm gonna do my morning routine. I'm let me just check TikTok for 5 minutes. It's not gonna be, I lied to myself. Straight up. I know for a fact there's no 5 minutes with TikTok, right? But no, I lied to myself. I'm nah, it'll just be 5 minutes. I got onto TikTok and I was there for a while, So I had to have an honest conversation with myself. I'm still having that honest conversation with myself around why it is that I procrastinate with TikTok. Why it is that, I distract myself I distract myself from doing, and it's not just with this video specifically, it's having the conversation around why is it every time I have something to do which requires quite a bit of me, which is a bit challenging, why it is that every time I need to do that, I distract myself somehow, some way. If it's not TikTok, it will be YouTube. I'll be on YouTube watching other videos, and there's this concept, and I'll speak about it proper but another time, but it's about like how you should differentiate between what is, like, I don't remember the exact concept, but it's what you need now versus what you might need later, right? I distract myself with things that I might need later. So I'll be lying to myself there, like, nah, this is stuff I'm gonna need. This is stuff I need. This is stuff I need. But it's like, no. Yes, this is stuff you need. Like, this is with regards to YouTube. This stuff you need, yes, but not for now. Right now, what you need is what you need to do is do what you're supposed to do, what you need to be doing. So part of having that honest conversation with myself, I realized that no, it's because I still need to learn to trust myself. I don't trust myself. I don't trust that I will be able to stick with this thing until, I'll be able to stick through with it. And so instead of like stepping into what I'm trying to do and actually doing it, I have this thing at the back of my mind where I feel like I am going to fail again. I am going to quit in the middle of it again, So it's like now I have to have that whole conversation. It's a whole chat I need to have with myself. A whole sit down I have to have with myself where I build trust with myself. You see what I mean? So that's what I mean when I say like the first challenge is always going to be honesty. Being honest and remaining honest with yourself. That's number one. Number two, sort of linked to the example I was giving, but you're going to face a lot of fears and insecurities. Fears and insecurities because as you get to know yourself, you're going to be discovering a new person, right? And you're going to be getting to know this person and learning things about this person. Certain things you don't know, I don't know how I'm going to be in certain social scenarios. I don't know how long, for example, even with this channel, I don't know how long I'm going to want to sustain it. I can see that right now I really want to keep it going. It's there. I'm loving it. But I don't know. I'm thinking at the back of my mind, I'm like scared. I'm like, what if my ADHD kicks in and I lose interest, for example, right? I'm still here. I'm here for a while. Don't get me wrong. But that's a reality of something that I have to have an honest conversation with myself around. And it makes me scared. It's something that will induce fear. It's something that will make me insecure. There are other things that will make you insecure about yourself. You becoming yourself means a lot of changes are going to happen. And with a lot of changes that are going to happen, obviously you're stepping into unknown territory. You're stepping into new spaces. You're stepping into new ways of being. And you're stepping into new environments. And things that we don't know, generally they will scare us, right? So prepare yourself for being scared. Prepare yourself for feeling insecure because there's going to be things that you're going to feel, oh no, I need to start something, And when you start out, you're going to suck. Like you're really going to suck at the beginning of anything you start out. So be prepared to feel insecure. Be prepared to feel fearful, to feel inadequate in a lot of things as you get to know yourself. And again, there's beauty in the end of all of these things. But the reality is you're going to have those feelings. You're going to get scared at some point. And there are times where you will need to step up and just do the thing anyway, despite feeling scared, right? There's a saying, I don't remember what it says, but the second part of it says, do it scared, right? I think it's something like, I'm lying. But essentially, don't try to do it when you're ready. Do it while you're scared. There's a lot of things that you're going to have to do scared. And that's part of growing. That's part of self-development. And another part of self-development is another thing you're going to have to deal with. This is number 3 now, is trauma. And trauma is a big one. So there's this book I'm reading. It's called What Happened to You, right? So the whole concept is instead of asking somebody what's wrong with you, ask what happened to you. And in this case, again, somebody is you, that book, I'm only on chapter 2. I finished chapter 2, and right after chapter 2, I put the book down and I shed some tears because some things arose, so it specifically deals with childhood trauma, but when I say trauma, I mean trauma in general. There are things that happened to you maybe even last year that traumatized you. And you may not even realize. The thing with trauma is you don't always realize that you've been traumatized. You're only seeing the fruit of the trauma, but you don't even see the root of it. That is the trauma itself, the incident or the incidents that led to you behaving the way you behave. And so as you're getting to know yourself, as you're getting to understand yourself, as you're tackling all those fears and insecurities, some of those insecurities, you're going to realize that they come from previous traumas. They come from the things that you've been through, the things that people have done to you, and maybe even the things that you've done to other people. You can actually be traumatized by the way you've behaved towards other people or in certain situations, right? So be prepared to face traumas. Be prepared to have things come up, right? That some of which you won't even see coming. Like some things you will not even see coming, but they will arise, right? And this is not to scare anybody. This is really, as I said, this is to prepare you, because this is the reality of what's going to happen as you get to know yourself, as you grow. You're going to face traumas. You're going to realize how messed up people have been towards you in the past. And and the thing is, you're going to have, again, an honest conversation with yourself about how you're going to deal with that. How are you going to deal with it? Because there are so many dynamics that could arise from that. It could be your partner, it could be your friend, it could be a stranger, it could be your teacher, it could be a lecturer, it could be anybody, it could be your parents. Of course, parents. There's so many different dynamics that come with like the source of the trauma. And so you are going to have to, again, going back to number 1, have an honest conversation with yourself about how you're going to deal with that trauma, because it's going to have to be dealt with at the end of the day. And so, with the trauma thing, you're going to start seeing, oh, I'm behaving this way because when that thing happened to me when I was however old I was, my response was XYZ. And the book I was speaking about speaks about how like the brain will really work to protect itself, and protect you. And so that's where you find that some traumas you don't even remember. You only know that you behave a certain way, or maybe you don't even see that you're behaving a certain way. Somebody makes you aware that you behave a certain way. And then as you dig deep and as you get to know yourself, as you dive deeper into your past and whatever, then you start to realize that, oh, this is what happened to me. Right? And then you're going to have to deal with that. You're going to have to deal with how it might change certain things in your life. So that's number 3, is the trauma. That's going to come up. Trauma is really, it will come up. And then number 4 is social expectations. And I've mentioned this in previous video. I think in the video before that, the previous 2 Thrive episodes, I spoke about social expectations. So social expectations, there's a wide array of them, right? There's what's expected of you in society in general, just being a member of society, certain things are expected of you. And it's like, as you get to know yourself, you're going to realize that, this is the narrative that, society goes with, but I don't buy into that. I'm not for that. And you're going to have to be willing to stand by stand by what is true to you. And so it can be a societal thing. Social expectations could be expectations put on you by the people in your circle, the people that are close to you, the people that know you. You've gotten them used to a certain type of behavior. You've gotten them used to certain type of things. Cool. As you get to know yourself, as I said in the first point, certain things are going to change. And so with certain things changing, and I said this last week, and I love this saying actually, not everybody's going to be comfortable with the changes that are going to be coming into your life. And so with that's where you're going to start to have conversations with yourself, again, honest conversations with yourself around the thing, like the people you're going to keep around you, what you're going to have around you, like your social circle. But also even there's this thing I always think about is like how, and this used to be so true for me as well, is how sometimes there are certain, what's the word I'm looking for? There's certain narratives, I'll say, certain ways of thinking, ways of believing that we adopt, which can be true to us for a certain time. And then at some point, you might want to let go of that. You might want to let go of a certain narrative that you've held on to. And sometimes you find that it even formed your identity, right? You never want to be held prisoner by an identity that you've adopted, because you can choose to change your identity as many times as you feel comfortable, right? And it's part of the growth, it's part of getting to know yourself. You chose that identity maybe when you were, I don't know, when you were 16. That was a true thing for you, right? If it's not true for you anymore, it's not true for you anymore. I'll give a very simple example. Religion, right? Maybe you were Christian, and then eventually that doesn't ring true for you anymore and you believe in something else. If it is true to you now, then go with it, right? Don't ever be held prisoner by an identity that you once adopted simply because, you know, you adopted it. I love saying, I don't always want to be speaking for, and I've heard a lot of people say this actually, I don't want to speak for my future self, right? Don't allow your past self to speak for you as well. Don't allow your past self to determine your current self. If a change is required, a change is required. And so this could even be around, maybe you've created an identity around, because this again was true for me. I had an identity around like grooving and partying and drinking every weekend, and I had a whole identity around that, you know, like me and groove way, you know, and that narrative changed in me. And so in that narrative changing, there won't always be people, societally speaking, like within my circle and even in general in society, because there's such a huge toxic even culture around groove. Even society, like a whole thing that I'm just thinking right now, for example, around how like the whole thing that if you say you don't drink, it's like there's something wrong with you, you know? And there's a time when I used to perpetuate that narrative that no, how come you don't drink? And now I'm on the verge of being a person who doesn't drink. And so that's what I mean. There will be societal expectations maybe on you. And granted, some of them will be because of the things that you've gotten people used to. People have gotten to know you as people have gotten to know you as that type of person. And so you're going to have to get people used to, and I think I mentioned it in the episode around, on New Year's resolutions. And I was like, you are going to form a new identity. You need to form a new identity, make it your identity so that you can let go of the thing, whatever you're trying to let go of, and form a new habit in, you know? That's what I was talking about. Watch that episode. Is it here or that side? I don't remember. Anyway, point is, societal expectations, there are societal expectations that will be put on you that you're going to have to be willing to stand firm against, especially if they're not true to you, right? Even if it's identities that you've held true to you, right, before, you're gonna have to be willing to let go of them and be okay with that. So that's number 4. And then the last one, this one's a big one for multiple reasons, and it's patience. One of the biggest obstacles you're gonna face is patience. And patience because you're getting to know yourself, you're getting better. Things are, you know, you're learning of your traumas, and you're realizing, these habits, I don't like them. These behaviors, I don't like them. I want to change this. I want to do that. Some things are going to come to you and you're just not going to have patience. Like, you're really going to want things to change, especially in this day and age where things are like that. You know, we're in this microwave society where everything is 3-minute noodles, you know? You are going to be, I'll give you an example of something I mentioned. I always give examples with myself. You remember how I was talking about how, if you watched the episode, I spoke about how I wanted to do all these things. This is again with the New Year's resolutions episode. Last year I wanted to do all these things all at once. It was because I finally got to a point where I'm like, I'm finally adopting myself. adopting like my own identity that I love, and I can see all the things that I want to do, and I try to do them all at once, right? And I try to just grab onto this new identity and do all these things all at once. And it's like, nah, dude, you gotta be patient with yourself. You gotta be patient with yourself. Part of the honesty is gonna be truly being able to gauge how much you can handle, right? I can handle so much more now. I can handle so much more now than I could at this time last year, because I have built up a character that is able to handle more. And that came with being honest with myself. And so there are things even now still though that in being honest with myself, I cannot handle as yet. I still need to build the character for that, right? And so you will definitely need to know when to release pressure off of yourself. You'll need to at times know that certain things will take time, and take time with them. Like, especially when it comes to things like the trauma I was speaking about, or forming the new identity. You've been the way that you've been for however many years, right? You cannot get rid of that many years of whatever's been happening to you, whatever you formed, like habits. You cannot get rid of them like that. And so you're really gonna have to learn to be patient with yourself. You're really gonna have to learn to, in your having honest conversations with yourself, just breathe. Just breathe. Take a moment and take your time, right? There's a saying I saw today around time, and I don't remember what it said, but it was basically about how you don't need to panic, okay? You don't need to panic. You've got time. You really have time. I was telling this to somebody last month. I was having a conversation with somebody that was feeling like, oh no, I'm running out of time, blah, 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 blah. Yo, you've got time. Okay, you are right. I don't like these sayings. I don't like these sayings, but you're right where you should be right now. You really are. If you're watching this at this moment, this message is meant to get to you at this time. And part of this message is you are right where you need to be right now for you to get to where you want to get to, and you will get there. But be patient with yourself. In not being patient with yourself, actually, you will slow down that process, even stop it. And trust me, I know I've done that so many times, particularly when I didn't know myself, particularly when I hadn't taken the time to get to know myself. In getting to know myself, I've gotten to a point where now, like I said, I know what I'm able to handle and all of that. You need to be patient with yourself. You really need to be patient with yourself. So let's go through them again. Number one, first obstacle you're gonna face is being honest with yourself. Remember to be honest with yourself. Number two, the second obstacle you're gonna face is the fears and the insecurities that are gonna come. They are gonna come. You're gonna feel insecure. You're gonna have fear. Go ahead, keep going anyway, and know that you got this. Okay. Number three, hey, I forgot. Number three, trauma. A lot of things are gonna come up that have hurt you, that have caused you harm, that have caused you to be the way that you are. They're gonna come up and you're gonna have to deal with them. Number four, societal expectations. As you're getting to know yourself, you're gonna know what's true for you. And so in turn, you're gonna know what isn't true for you, and you're gonna have to be willing to stand by what is true for you, even when it goes against what society says. And lastly, number five, you're gonna have to be patient with yourself. Patience is gonna be tested as you're getting to know yourself, as you're growing. Patience is gonna be tested hard, right? But remember to just take a breather. Remember that you've got time. Remember that we're looking for progress, not perfection. So keep making progress, keep getting better. If you're better today than you were yesterday, that's wonderful. Even if it's like 0.001%. Cool. And lastly, one thing I do want to mention is therapy. And I'll speak more about this in another episode, but therapy is so important. I could never, in my opinion, I would never get to where I'm at if not for therapy. I'm a huge advocate for therapy. People keep saying there is, Shem. Let me not say people keep saying. There is a stigma around therapy and whatever. Forget that. Forget whatever stigma there is, okay? Go for therapy. I was saying to somebody today, a sister of mine, I was like, look, as I'm reading this book, I can tell that I'm going back to therapy. As soon as I'm done with it, I am going back to therapy because it's getting rough, right? You don't need to deal with any of these things alone. You don't need to go through any of these things alone. And I know therapy is not something that everybody can afford, but in South Africa, I know that there is free therapy that is offered. So please utilize, go for therapy. Go for therapy unashamedly, and know that you're doing it for you. Know that you're doing it so that you can be the best you. You're allowing yourself to be the best you that you can be. Thank you so much for watching. If you love this episode, please click the like button. Like love. Please click the like button. Subscribe if you're unsubscribed already. Put out one of these videos like once every 1 or 2 weeks. There's going to be consistency. I'm going back. I'm leaving. Oh, this is the last episode I'm shooting here. I'm leaving. I'm getting out of here. I'm going back to Res. Great. So I'm leaving home, and so once I get back to my place, there's going to be more consistency because I can actually put a schedule in place. But I put out an episode like this every 1 to 2 weeks, right? So please do subscribe. And yeah, alternatively, you will find some mixes because I'm also a DJ. And then you're going to start finding other things. But let me keep quiet on those things. Thank you so much for watching. Have yourself a wonderful day. Have yourself a wonderful morning. Have yourself a wonderful evening from wherever you are. From wherever you are watching this. Thank you so much, and yeah, deuces.